Welcome back to Day 40, where we dive deep into the fascinating and sometimes challenging stories of the Bible in Exodus chapters 30 to 32. Today, we're tackling some incredibly powerful moments, especially dealing with worship, the importance of atonement, and how easy it is for people to stray from the right path.
That's right. We're starting off with a deep dive into some sacred rituals. The altar of incense is mentioned in Exodus 30, and that's where I'd like to start. God gave Moses specific instructions to build this altar out of acacia wood, with pure gold overlaying it. It was meant to be a place where Aaron would burn sweet incense every day. Why do you think incense was so important in this context?
Oh, that's such an interesting starting point. The incense isn't just about scent, it's symbolic. It represents prayer and worship. You see, in ancient Israel, offerings were a central part of their relationship with God. The incense was a constant, daily act of devotion. It was a physical and sensory reminder of their connection to the divine. And interestingly, this wasn't just about incense. The altar had strict rules like not using any strange incense. It's as if God was saying, "This is sacred. Only what I've prescribed will be accepted."
Exactly. And don't forget about the atonement aspect of it. Every year, Aaron was to make atonement on the altar's horns with the blood of a sin offering. This ties into the concept of cleansing or making things right with God. It's a way of saying, we've made mistakes, but we're seeking restoration. It's a powerful ritual, don't you think?
Absolutely. It's a constant reminder of how much effort and care goes into maintaining that sacred relationship. That's why God also instructed the Israelites to give half a shekel when a census was taken. The shekel was like a ransom for the soul. It's a way to contribute to the greater community and atone for one's personal shortcomings. The rich and poor were treated equally in this. Nobody was exempt. It shows that atonement isn't about wealth, but about the heart's intent.
I love that. It's such a profound thought. Equality before God. No matter where you come from, you're still required to give that half shekel. It's a spiritual leveler, in a way. But let's switch gears a bit. After all these detailed instructions, we get to Exodus 32, and the situation takes a sharp turn. The people who had just received all these detailed laws and commands suddenly fall into idolatry. They create the golden calf. How do you think they got to this point?
It's shocking, right? They were so quickly swayed. The key here is that they grew impatient. Moses was on the mountain for too long, and in that waiting, they lost trust. They needed something tangible, something to see and touch, to feel secure. In their desperation, they turned to what was familiar, idol worship from Egypt. It's almost like they couldn't cope with the unknown. It's easy to be critical, but how often do we struggle with impatience in our own faith journeys?
That's a great point. It's easy for us to point fingers at the Israelites, but we've all been there. When things feel uncertain, we seek out things that provide comfort, even if they aren't the right answers. Now, what really got me was Aaron's role in all of this. He seemed to be swept up in the moment. He tried to justify it by saying, I threw the gold in the fire, and out came this calf. But, come on, that's a bit of a stretch, right?
Haha, definitely. Aaron's excuse is almost comical in its simplicity, but it also shows just how much pressure he was under. The people were already out of control, and he probably thought it would calm them down. But instead, he enabled the sin. Moses, however, takes a very different approach. He doesn't back down. He confronts the situation head on, and when he sees how bad it's gotten, he breaks the tablets of the covenant in anger. It's such a dramatic moment, one that shows just how deep the betrayal ran.
Yes, Moses' anger is understandable. He was holding the physical representation of God's covenant with the people, and they had just completely rejected it. Breaking the tablets wasn't just about his frustration with the people's actions, it was symbolic. He was showing them that they had broken their side of the covenant too.
Exactly. And the punishment that followed was severe. About 3,000 people lost their lives that day. It was a stark reminder that disobedience has consequences. But here's what stands out to me. Even after this terrible sin, Moses intercedes for the people. He goes back to God and asks, "If you won't forgive them, then blot me out of your book." That's a powerful act of leadership and love. Moses was willing to put himself on the line for his people.
It really shows the depth of Moses' commitment to his people, doesn't it? And that makes me think about leadership. Moses wasn't just a ruler, he was a mediator. He stood between the people and God, advocating for mercy. It's a role that isn't easy, especially when the people are so clearly in the wrong. But in the end, God relented and chose not to destroy them. His anger turned away, but the people still had to face the consequences of their actions.
True. And even though God forgave them, they were still held accountable. It's a reminder that mercy doesn't always mean avoiding consequences. Sometimes we have to live with the results of our decisions, but the hope is that we learn and grow from them. The Israelites learned the hard way, but they also had a chance to return to God and restore their covenant with Him.
I think this entire chapter really challenges us to reflect on our own faith and trust in God. It's so easy to rely on things we can see and control, just like the Israelites did with the golden calf. But true faith often requires waiting and trusting in the unseen. And when we falter, there's always room for repentance and atonement, but it's not without its costs.
Well said. It's a tough lesson, but an important one. So as we wrap up today's episode, let's leave our listeners with a thought. When faced with moments of uncertainty, how do we respond? Do we turn to the quick fixes or the things that bring us comfort in the moment? Or do we trust in God's timing, even when it's difficult? It's a question worth considering in our own spiritual lives.
Absolutely. A question that calls for some real introspection. Thanks for listening, everyone. We hope today's discussion gave you some food for thought. Don't forget to join us next time as we continue to explore more powerful stories from the Bible. Until then, keep reflecting, keep learning, and keep growing.
See you next time. God bless.